We start in the supplement, page 2. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 O Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and in thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham. Ve'asuli mikdash ve'shachanti betocham. O Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and in thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Shabbat Shalom. Just want to turn down this mic a little bit. It seems a little bit overkill. So, it is so good to see all of you here tonight, coming out into the cold. And I'm going to talk a little bit now because you know that verse that we just sang with Sanctuary, V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham? It is from this week's Torah portion, Parshat Trumah. So I want to talk about that a little bit. The Torah portion Trumah, it means gifts. And it means gifts that people were asked to bring to build the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary that was going to be the house of worship in the desert after the revelation at Mount Sinai. So just to recap where we are, 2 weeks ago, Parshat Yitro was the great revelation at Mount Sinai, where Moses went up, received at least the 10 Commandments, you might say the executive summary of the Torah, and brought that down to the people. Last week, Parshat Mishpatim lays out a whole mixture of civil, criminal, and religious law, many of the laws of the Torah. There are other collections as well, but a large collection of laws of all kinds. A fair amount of detail there, not an executive summary anymore. Now this week, we're in Parshat Trumah, where we're instructed to build a Mishkan, a portable sanctuary that would be the place God dwells among us. So the Parsha begins, Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, God spoke to Moses, saying, Daber el bnei Yisrael, say this, tell the Israelite people, Vayichuli Truma, there's the name of the portion, bring me gifts, Me'ed kol ish asher yidvenu libo, from every person whose heart is moved, should bring the thing that they're moved to bring. Tikhu et trumati. I'll continue in English. And these are the gifts that you shall accept from them: gold, silver, copper, blue, purple, crimson yarns, fine linen, goat's hair, tanned ram skins, dolphin skins. That's hard to find in the desert. That's probably not the best translation, but it's a translation that has endured. It's probably some other kind of animal skin, not desert dolphins. Where was I? And acacia wood. Oil for lighting, spices for the anointing oil and for the aromatic incense, lapis lazuli and other stones for setting, for the ephod, which was sort of like a garment that was like a tunic, and for the breastpiece, which was sort of like, you know how some Torah scrolls have a big piece of silver? That's modeled after this breastpiece that the high priest, Kohen Gadol, was to wear. And let them make a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. There is our verse that we put in the bluegrass. That's not originally in the bluegrass song. So it's V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Exactly as I show you the pattern of the tabernacle, the pattern of all its furnishings, so you shall make it. And the rest of the Torah portion goes on to detail, in an incredible amount of detail, the architecture, the furnishings, the decorations of this Mishkan, this portable sanctuary, which I'm not going to read to you. You can rest easy there. So the level of detail that we have in that description, though, is very unusual. Like, we don't have that kind of detail anywhere else. And for us modern readers, it's kind of boring. And we're like, why are we having all this architectural detail of how to sew this and how far apart these pieces of wood are supposed to be and how many stones are supposed to be on this curtain? And not only do we have all that detail once, we have that amount of detail twice, because this parsha is God's instructions. Then when they actually do it, all the detail is repeated. So it's really just a sign of its importance. And also of communicating the idea that God commanded this, and the people did it exactly as God commanded, which doesn't happen very often in the Torah, actually. So there's something about this verse, make me a mikdash, a dwelling, that I may dwell in it among you, that sort of flies in the face of the way we tend to think of God now. Don't we think of God is everywhere. We don't think of God as having a particular earthly dwelling place. But that is the Torah's conception. There is the conception that there is a sense of God everywhere. There's an aspect of God that's everywhere. But there's also a sense that God really dwells in one place, and God's holiness and being radiates from that place to the rest of the world. And that place was to be the Mishkan. That place was to, later, the Mishkan was only a temporary dwelling to be used only until they settle in the land and are instructed to build a temple. And that would be under King Solomon. David wanted to build a temple, but God would not let him do it, according to the story. He said that David fought too many wars to be the one to build the temple, that he needed There needed to be more of a period of peace for that. So this leaves us with a bit of a problem now, doesn't it? That we're told that it's very, very important for God to have this dwelling place among us, and we don't have one. The temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. Then we rebuilt it, and it was destroyed by the Romans. And we have not had anything like that since. So this has been a problem for many, many Jewish thinkers. And especially after the second destruction, especially, it was the first also, the Jews weren't all in one place anymore, so it wasn't really practical to have, when all the Jews lived in what's now Israel, and really not even all of it, a smaller portion of that country, it made some sense to have a temple in a central location that everyone could get to. But with Jews all over the world, it doesn't make as much sense. And this was true even, before we had Jews in Australia and America and South America. Even just all over Europe was too far. Europe and the Middle East. So the idea developed that other things could take place of this temple. One of them being the Jewish home, especially the dinner table, like the table where Shabbat dinner happens or your Passover Seder happens. It's been called a Mikdash Ma'at. Mikdash is the same name as that portable sanctuary. Ma'at means small, like miniature, the miniature sanctuary being in the home. Synagogues developed. And also the idea developed that God dwells not in a particular building, but in each person's heart. You might, recognize that from the song that we just sang. That's, "O Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and in thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary to you." Because we don't have the physical building sanctuary, so we need to be living sanctuaries. So was this the creation of bluegrass musicians who were writing to sing in church? No! There's a Jewish precedent. It's a song called Bilvavi. I was a little over-optimistic with the numbers of this that I made, but could you just pass them out, please? Yeah, I've got some more if we need. Here, Mike. No sharing necessary. So this is a song that we don't sing very much in Reform Jewish circles. It's a beautiful song that I used to hear much more often when I was associated with other denominations of Judaism. Bilvavi means "in my heart." And the song, if we look at the translation, "I will build a tabernacle," that's the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary, "in my heart to glorify God's honor. And I will place an altar in the tabernacle dedicated to God's divine rays of splendor." The altar, meaning that's a substitute for the altar that sacrifices were made on. And for the eternal, constant flame, that's the Ner Tamid, of which we have a remnant up there. In front of the ark of every temple you go to, you'll see some sort of either light bulb that's supposed to always be on, or sometimes it's even a flame. That's something that was also in the temple, to have a flame always going. I mean, the temple. "And I will take upon myself the fire that fueled the binding of Isaac. And as a sacrifice, I will offer God my soul, my unique soul." So this is really taking this idea very far, that we're going to take what used to be done and the central components of the temple where the sacrificial worship was done, and have them all be internal. That my sacrifice is my own soul, and that I have a constant flame inside me. This is a song that is based on a passage from Rabbi Eliezer Azikri from Sefer Haredim. You can see that down there in the information. Rabbi Eliezer Azikri was one of the Kabbalists in Tzfat, in the flowering of Kabbalah, which was in the 16th century. So he beat Randy Scruggs by about 350 years or so with this idea. I sort of doubt that Scruggs and Thompson, who wrote Sanctuary, were familiar with this song, but maybe great minds think alike. So let me just sing you this song. It's very beautiful. Of course, Rabbi Eliezer Azikri did not write the tune. He wrote, Sefer Haredim was a book that was a Kabbalistic interpretation of all the mitzvot in the Torah. And this song was adapted from a passage in the book. By the way, he also wrote Yedid Nefesh. If you remember, we sing that on occasion. He wrote that as well. So this song goes like this. Bilvavi mishkan evne lehadar kodo ulamishkan mizbeach asim lekarne hodo ulber tamid ekach Esha Akedah L'korban akriv lo et nafshi hayedidah U'lener tamid ekachli et Esha Akedah Korban akriv lo et nafshi hayedidah. There's one other thing that I need to tell you about this, that there's something in the verse itself that makes this transformation possible in a text-based way. The transformation I'm talking about is the transformation of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, being a physical building, a big fancy tent, versus something that is within each of our hearts. And that is the word bitocham, the last word that we sing in Va'asuli Mikdash V'shachanti bitocham. In the translation underneath it, underneath in the booklet, the Siddur supplement, it says, "Make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in it among you." Bitocham means among you. However, it could also mean within you. And probably among you is the Peshat, the more obvious, straightforward meaning, but within you is a possible meaning. And that ambiguity in the translation of the word, the meaning of the word, opens the door to this beautiful drush, meaning creative interpretation, that the instruction might be for us to build a building, but it might also mean for us that God will dwell inside us, for each of us to build a mikdash in our hearts. Hence the song Bilvavi and later Sanctuary. Let's continue our service now with lighting of the candles. I would like to invite up Anita and Rhonda to light. So you could pick one of the readings and read first before you light.
Okay. Which one do you want to do?
Okay.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Okay, good. Wanna do it? That's good.
Take in the beautiful light of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you. We continue our service now on page 13 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Archuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please turn now to page 21 as we greet the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmiyanu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shmo echad. Shemu tiferet v'li tila tehila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habaracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Hitorari, hitorari, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri uri, shir daberi. Kevod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Please rise. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'v'tzola toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. You may be seated. We continue on page 23 with Tzadik Katamar, the last 4 lines of the Hebrew. Tzadik Katamar Yifra Ke'erez Balvanon Yizgeh Shetuli Bebeit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun B'Sefer העננים יהיו להגיד כי אשר אדוני צורי ולא הבלטה בו. Please rise for Chatzi Kaddish on page 27. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon Uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala, Bagala Uvizman Kariv V'imeru Amen Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Le'alam ulal me'almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha v'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma V'yimeru Amen. Please remain standing and switch to the Siddur supplement, page 5, for Am I Awake and Baruch Hu. Yadidai-dai-dai, 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 yadidai-dai-dai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Yadidai-dai-dai, 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 yadidai-dai-dai. You may be seated. I have a second little Devar Torah, which might be doubly disappointing for people who might be hoping that there won't be any Devar Torah without the rabbi here. But I'm feeling a need to just talk with you a little bit about this thing that's going on tomorrow that most of you probably know, that a bunch of neo-Nazi groups have declared that tomorrow they're going to have a day of hate against the Jews. So I'm just feeling a need to talk with you about this, to process this a little bit. And I want to start out just thinking about, so these neo-Nazi groups have declared this day of hate against us. What are we supposed to do? Like, what is a Jewish response to that? Is there any Jewish response? Maybe it's none. What are we supposed to do with this information as Jews? So I'm opening the floor. So let's. I'd like to hear one at a time if anyone has anything to say about that. Rhonda.
What is the official Jewish response to this stuff? Is to educate information, try to get people to be aware of it.
Aware of the day of hate?
Yeah,
Oh.
aware of it and the reason for it and the history of it and what is a more global response that we can have to it, aside from just one particular day. Because
Anti-Semitism in general.
Anti-Semitism every day, everybody knows that.
So that's a great response to educate ourselves and educate other people about anti-Semitism, because hatred of Jews is not something that takes place in one day. It's like throughout our history. So that's a great answer. Any other ideas?
I mean, it's obviously very sad, kind of overwhelming,
Yeah.
and so we shouldn't now be discussing it.
Absolutely. Like, I don't know about you all, but like a few years ago, this would have seemed like fairly unimaginable
Right.
to me. And so we're in a much worse place in just a few years than we were. Like sure, I was aware that there were neo-Nazi groups throughout the time of quiet, when they were quiet, but they were not emboldened as they are now to do this. And so, sort of natural to feel kind of dispirited by this, or saddened by it, or afraid by it. I'm reminded of there was one girl who I tutored for her bat mitzvah here, who was afraid to come to temple. And it was before this bad time. She was afraid to come to temple because she was aware of neo-Nazi groups and anti-Semitism. And after her bat mitzvah, she was rarely here because her parents couldn't get her to come. So, it is a very sad thing. It's a dispiriting thing. Any other thoughts from you about what is a Jewish response? We have feeling sad. We have education. Rhonda?
So here's another take on it, and I'm monopolizing the conversation.
That's okay. I'm here too. I'll talk too.
David and I went out last weekend with friends of ours who are conservative Jews, and they belong to the temple in Stoughton, Torah. And they're very involved in the temple like we are. He was a past president, she was a past treasurer, kind of similar parallel experiences. And their response is very different from our Reform response. They have members in the congregation who carry guns.
Wow.
And they have red hats, they have different colored yarmulkes that they wear, and so the police are aware of who in the congregation has by the yarmulke, they know the system, that they know who's carrying a gun, and they feel safe that way, and that's their.
That's very interesting. I just want to add to that, I don't think that has anything to do with our being Reform and their being conservative.
Well, I think,
As a denomination of Judaism, I don't think one is more likely to carry a gun than another.
Well, I think politically, URJ synagogues are politically more progressive than, to me, I've always thought that conservative Judaism in today's day and age, conservative Judaism and Reform Judaism, it seems like the politics are kind of aligning in that way as well.
I know, but most of the conservative congregations and Jews that I know are left-leaning.
That's interesting. So the temple in Stoughton is not. I mean, there are some temples that are, like the leader of the temple in Stoughton is extremely out about
that might attract people, congregants who are. But for example, like the organization Truah, rabbis for I'm forgetting it's rabbis for like social rights. It's a very, very liberal organization. It's headed by conservative rabbis. So I think it depends on the congregation rather than the denomination. But anyway, that's a very interesting response. I did not expect to hear that one.
We had a very big conversation over last weekend, but I think it's fascinating how they
Yeah.
respond to it versus how we respond to it.
Mhm. All right, I'm going to give you a few responses that are in our tradition and maybe even in our Siddur. So, oh, sorry, Mike. Sorry, I didn't see that. So I've seen that response on Facebook quite a bit, like people saying, well, I'm going to temple tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to let them keep us scared and out of temple and keep us from celebrating our Judaism and being proud Jews on this Shabbat. So we see that when other people might actually be afraid and decide, well, I'll skip going to temple that Shabbat. But, it has both of those divergent, I think, effects on people. Edward? I think that's I love that response, and I think it's a very strong response in our tradition, actually. So let me give you a couple of things. So turn to page 6 in your Siddur. So this is a passage in the weekday Amidah. I don't know if you know that the Amidah that we'll be saying soon on Shabbat has a weekday version that has the same beginning and end, but the private part is completely different. The private part has petitions, things that we ask God for, a whole series of petitions. And we don't do that on Shabbat. We substitute that on Shabbat with things about Shabbat to give God the day off from our petitions, to give God a rest from our constantly asking for things. But one of these petitions, the third paragraph down, can I have a volunteer to read that third paragraph down, the one that starts with the word frustrate? Sure, Edward.
Frustrate the hopes of all those who malign us. Let all people soon disappear. Let all your enemies soon be destroyed. May you quickly uproot and crush the arrogant. May you subdue and humble them in our time. Praise are you, Adonai, who humbles the arrogant.
What do you think? Does it apply? The neo-Nazis sure sound like they fit in this paragraph to me. Yeah. So this is such a strong thing in our tradition, such a strong trend in our tradition, that it's in the weekday Amidah to this day, which is, by the way, said 6 times more than the Shabbat Amidah. Simple math, right? However, I just want to make you aware, if I can find it, of a little, well, I can't find the sheet of paper, so I'm just going to do it from memory, that there is sort of a counter trend, that there's a story of the power couple of Talmudic rabbinic Judaism, who is Rabbi Meir, one of the great rabbis of the Mishnah. However, he's the only one who has a wife who is a Talmud scholar, Bruria. Like the only woman who is mentioned in the Talmud as being a great scholar. And so there are a lot of stories about their interactions, and this is the most famous one, where there were a bunch of hooligans in their neighborhood making noise and causing trouble and doing some vandalism. And Rabbi Meir prayed that they should disappear. And his wife chastised him for that. Takes guts to chastise a great rabbi who's your husband in that day and age, right? She chastised him and said, what were you praying for them to disappear? The prayer is not for them to disappear, for the evil people to disappear. The prayer is for the evil to disappear from the evil people, that they should turn their hearts to good instead. That's like, I guess you hear this, hate the sin, not the sinner. But this is like a real example of that. That like he was so upset by what they were doing, he was praying against the people, and his wife corrected him. So that brings us to like another trend, which is to focus on love. I think that's a good response. I think that's sort of what you were saying, Edward. So we have that. So let's turn to page 63 in the Siddur now. So this is part of the morning service. So this is also the third paragraph, the one that's only 2 lines long. I hereby accept the obligation of fulfilling my Creator's mitzvah in the Torah, love your neighbor as yourself. That's a line from the Holiness Code in Leviticus, and it is it's the one that Rabbi Akiva, it was Hillel, that Hillel answered when he was asked by a sort of rambunctious guy, said, like, teach me the whole Torah in one sentence. He said, so he answered, like, first the no good Nick asked Shammai, teach me the whole Torah in one sentence. And, Shammai chased him out of his study with a ruler. So he went to Hillel, and Hillel answered the question, and he said, don't do what is hateful to you to any other person. That's the whole Torah. Everything else is commentary, but the commentary is important, so you should go study the commentary. And the guy actually did after that, according to the story. So this is sort of similar, like saying perhaps the central commandment in the Torah is to love your neighbor as yourself. And you notice it doesn't say only if your neighbor is a fine, upstanding person. Regardless, your neighbor might be a nasty person or a nice person, but you're supposed to love your neighbor in any case. So this is sort of on that idea of education and treating people with love, with the idea that love will overpower hate. That's why I put this discussion here, because we're about to go into the love part of the service. We're about to sing Ahavat Olam, which is about God's love for us, to be followed with Shema and Ve'ahavta, about our love for God. So, and those are on page 29. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. V'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al medudot beitecha u'visharecha. Page 31, 6 lines down, 3 words in. We continue. Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. We jump now to this, back to the Siddur supplement, page 7. Our song of salvation after the crossing of the miracle of the Red Sea. Nothing can compare. Micha Mocha. Nothing can compare. Nothing can compare. Nothing can compare. Nothing can compare. Standing on the other side of the sea of reeds, I'm beginning to believe we really can be free. Walking on the ocean floor like walking on the air. Nothing can compare with this. Nothing can compare. Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot Osei Pele, Nora Tehilot Osei Pele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe zeh Eli anu ve'amru Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed. Nothing can compare. 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 We continue in the Siddur supplement, next page, Hashkivenu, where we ask for God's shelter and protection. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu V'ha'amideinu malkeinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. Ha'amideinu malkeinu l'chaim. Please rise and turn to page 35. Please rise if you're able. For the Amidah, we start, of course, together and continue privately. $35B. B. Adonai safatai tiftach ufi aki tehilatecha. Adonai safatai tiftach ufi aki tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei Hakol V'zocher chasdei avot, u'mevi go'el livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'foked u'moshia u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Abraham u'foked Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei metim atah v'hoshia. Mashiv haruach u'marid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechayei meitim berachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata l'hachayot meitim. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh ha'meitim. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalilucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please continue with the prayers in your heart and mind, or if you prefer the words on the page, they are pages 36 through 38. Let's continue on page 38 with Oseh Shalom, which you could find at the end of the middle paragraph. Oseh Shalom Bimroma Oseh Shalom Bimroma Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oseh Shalom Bimroma Oseh Shalom Bimroma Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. It's now the time in our service to think of those in our community and in our lives who need our prayers for healing, our Mishabara. In the TCS community, we're thinking of Phyllis Burke, wife of Norm Burke, Arthur Campbell, friend of Craig Barger, Tony Casella, father of Franny Spivak, Valerie Frank, friend of Craig Barger, Jonathan Gardner, grandson of Rona Slotnick, David Glazer, son of Amy Glazer, Robert Gordon, brother-in-law of Merrill and David Levinson, Marilyn Hoffman, mother of Alyssa Cohen, Cheryl Leahy, sister of Mike Cohen, Nancy Meyer, sister-in-law of Joni Mayer, this is Nancy Mayer, Mark Panusik, cousin of Alyssa Cohen, Michael Schreiber, son of Mary and Paul Schreiber, Tal Schechter, Cindy Sherman, daughter of Judy Romaine, Elaine Swartz, mother of Karen Swartz, Sulam teacher, Marcia Zeidman, mother of Nancy Peel, Yonina bat David HaKohen Visara, Esther bat Chaim Vigoldi, Fagi bat Shlomo Nisan Halevi, mother of Jennifer Jarofsky. Would anyone like to add a name?
Marcia Hicks, Michelle Bullock, Roger Young.
Michelle Carroll, Sean O'Brien, Jonathan Anisar, Phyllis Dillon, Gail Rosenberg.
Let's sing our Misha Baruch prayer. It is on the inside back cover of your Siddur. Misha Baruch Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please turn to page 148 for the prayer for our country. Let's please read together. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights from your Torah, that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony, to banish hatred and bigotry, and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions that are the pride and glory of our country. May this land, under your providence, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in peace and freedom, helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say, Amen. Please turn to page 51 and rise if you are able for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula li'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, ha'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. Eloheinu einod, emet malkeinu efes ulato, kakatu b'torato, v'datayom v'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, v'shamoyim imal, v'haaretz mitachat einod v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz v'yom ahu Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad. You may be seated. We now recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. Our congregational family remembers with special affection our loved ones, whose yahrzeit will occur this coming week. Milton Rotenberg, father of Joyce Levine. Dean Meltzer, brother of Barry Meltzer. Rose Handel, aunt of Ruth Albert. Robert Goldberg, father of Lissy Delano. Irma G. Cohen, friend of Ruth Albert. Harry Pike, father-in-law of Norman Burke. Dr. Irving Harvey, father of Merrill Levinson. Doris Tillman, mother of Randy Tillman. Claire Greenberg, mother of Rosalind Golden. Mary Hirshorn, mother-in-law of Anita Hirshorn and grandmother of Rhoda Jelinek. Morris Fishman, father of Anita Hirshorn and grandfather of Rhoda Jelinek. Dorothy Uditsky, mother of Esther Jacobs. Gloria Lapidus, sister-in-law of Myra Lapidus. Sidney Greenberg, father of Saul Payne. Sylvia Siegel, mother of Marcia Kamens. Dave Stepner, father of Ellen Spector. Gladys Lerner, grandmother of Robert Keller. Mayor Raines, family of Ruth Albert. Estelle Blackman, mother of Jeffrey Blackman. Mark Flycup, husband of Sharon Silberman. Stuart Klein, former husband of Terry Starr Klein. Brian Barger, cousin of Craig Barger. Esther Glickman, great-aunt of Adam Kempner. If you are remembering someone not named this evening, we invite you to say that person's name aloud now. Zichronam livracha, may the memory of all our dear ones be a blessing. If you are saying Kaddish in someone's memory tonight, we ask you to rise now. In loving support of the mourners, we rise as a congregation. In gratitude for the gift of the lives of their loved ones, those who are in mourning and those remembering someone, say Kaddish on page 52. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah ve'alma divrach yerutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayei chon u'vyomei chon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael la'agala v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei d'kudusha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. Ruth, you're doing announcements? I think I've got them. There they are.
Welcome to TCS, where we value innovating education, building community, honoring individuality, drawing meaning from Judaism, and upholding our social responsibility. All our programming, including the ones I will mention today, reflect these values. First of all, there's no Torah study tomorrow. The rabbi's away in D.C. with 7 of our students learning how to advocate for laws. Havdalah service tomorrow will be at 6 on Zoom. Next Thursday, there will be Tucci Talk in Bertucci's. Join us for a Purim next week at TCS. It's going to be a busy time Sunday. Purim Carnival next Sunday at 11:30. Exciting games and prizes for everyone. Brotherhood will serve pizza, a drink, and hamantashen. Costumes are encouraged. Purim services and celebration will be next Monday at 6:30. The service time is 6:30. It includes a Megillah reading and Beauty and the Beast spiel and costume parade. The new Mishaberach list starts next Friday. It's a new month. If people on the list need more prayers, or if you would like to add a new name, please email the temple office. Important event is the end of March. The TCS Shuffle 5K race is March 26th. Details in your mail and information on the table in the foyer. Encourage your friends to run if they're runners. It's a very good race. We already have more than 500 runners. Save the date. Saturday, May 6th at 7 p.m. The 4th Comedy Night and Raffle at Thorny League Golf Club in Brockton. A chance to win $5,000, a $5,000 cash raffle. Great odds, only 250 tickets will be sold. Better than our lottery. COVID home test kits are here in the temple. The state has provided the town of Easton with free home test kits. If you need any, please take a couple from the table in the foyer. They've given us a whole bunch to give away. Remember, information and links to all activities are included in your weekly email on Mondays, as well as special notices. Please remember to return your name badges to the drawers in the foyer before you leave the temple. Thank you for coming to services here in person and on the computer. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ruthie. That's okay. Our closing song is Adon Olam on page 187. Resort to the actual book. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefto Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Be'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Dora V'hu Haya V'hu Over V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara V'hu Echad V'ein Sheni Leham Shilo Lehakbira V'li Reishi V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'hamisra V'lo Ha'oz V'hamisra V'hu Heli V'chai Goali V'tzur Kevli V'eit Tzara V'hu Nisi Uma Minat kosi biyom ekra, Minat kosi biyom ekra, biyado apki ruchi be'ishan be'aira be'himruchi Yeviati Adonai li velo ira, Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat shalom. Let's meet in the foyer for some Kiddush and Motzi.